You know, it's Monday. Oh, and the jingle goes on and on and on. You know, I don't know, David. Let's just play ping pong for a second here. Have you been following politics in America the last couple of days? Okay, good answer. Next. Do you know that the former president, Barack Obama, appeared at rallies on Saturday to promote the governorial as well in New Jersey and in Virginia? Did you also know that Obama campaigned for Republican Mickey Sherrill, who's running for the governor? He was out of Newark. He spoke at something criticizing Donald J. Trump, framing the upcoming election as a choice between, the bad MAGAs versus the good Dems. Are you familiar with this? Does this sound familiar to you? Do they play this in Canada? Like, they haven't made it illegal. You know that Obama also called New York Democratic mayoral candidate Zora Mandami the fucking clown, and congratulated him on his campaign. Didn't say that he was a person that he believed in. Just commended him for an excellent run campaign. I got to tell you, David, when it comes to politics, that man has got more oil than Chevron. Again, I like Chevron as a stock, don't get me wrong, but Obama's got more oil because he's slicker than the shadiest oil salesman in the world. And as you talk about politics, you talk about slimy, Obama and Michelle are top of my list. They are the apologists. They are the ones that believe that they've been mistreated. They've done no wrong. They've said no wrong. They don't have millions upon millions of dollars that they've hijacked from political candidates to try and leverage their brand. I don't know, David. Like, I sit back and I watch politics, and I got to tell you, it is just bizarre. I feel like the Twilight Zone, the former show that we used to watch as kids, has nothing on politics. I really feel like I'm a hamster in a wheel, and I'm listening to Groundhog Day over and over and over again. And every time it plays, it just gets worse, worse, and worse instead of just being the same. It is amazing. The hatred being spewed by these insane politicians, and those that would be maybe more a statement than they would be vicious and inhumane, are just becoming inhumane. Barack Obama stood on a box and said that only the bad Republicans could shut down this government. Shame on them. Now the Dems go and shut it down, and Obama's silent, like Charlie Chaplin. I like Charlie Chaplin. So again, don't want to give any good names to this guy. Here we are at an election on the cusp of voting in New York, the biggest anti-Semite in American history. I think he rivals Duke. I think he rivals any white supremacist by all. People fail to understand the millions of Christians being killed, the millions of Jews that have been killed, and the hundreds of thousands being literally chased in countries today by Islamist countries. Now, it's not Muslims, it's radical Muslims. But if you were to talk to any person, the minute you start talking about this, oh, you're Islamophobic. We got to make you feel guilty. Even Obama went and kissed the ring of the Saudi prince. But, people seem to forget that. People forget where these people have come from, where they've gone, and what their true intentions are. Bernie Sanders, as you said in the green room, loves the healthcare system in Canada, right? But from living in Canada how marvelous it is. Or is it? Don't spit your coffee, David. They almost murdered my father in the early 2000s. And you would figure in almost 2.5 decades, they may have resolved matters. But David, here we are, November 3rd, 2025, noon somewhere in the world. And yet I feel like we're talking about the same issues, the same people. There is nobody on the Democratic Party that resembles an American politician any longer. What do you have to say, Dave?
Well, wow. First of all, like that was one meandering start, but
Yep.
that's typically Stewart. But I'll tell you where I'm struggling, Stuart, and that is like that the face of the party continues to be the Obamas, and where Stuart, I gotta tell you a funny story, and Montrealers are like that, you know, when we used to laugh at people in Toronto because their best memories of a Stanley Cup was the Toronto Maple Leafs when they won it in 1967. Now Montreal's starting to get like that in 1993, but that's like the Jets fan in New York still remembering Joe Namath. That's like people like from the Miami Dolphins remembering back their perfect season in 1972. Like you go back to the quote unquote good old days. And those good old days continue to get further and further and further back. And right now, you can't dust off old man Joe Biden because you don't know what's going to come out of his mouth, and you're scared of what he's going to do. You're not gonna roll out Kamala Harris to these things because again, you don't know what's going to come out of her mouth when she speaks. This book tour that she's done has done nothing but really shameful of the party. If you didn't see her interview in Australia, for example, where she got into a fight with the interviewer because she was hoping for a soft interview and not something tough, but that goes to show you what she's about. So again, you pull out of the mothballs the only people that really can galvanize, and that's the Obamas. And remember, the Obamas walked out of the White House hand in hand January of 2017, right? And it's unbelievable is how incredible it has become that's where you got to pull out. The Clintons didn't campaign like this. The Bushes
Nope.
didn't campaign like this because you don't ask your president to pull the rabbit out of the hat in every campaign. But they have to. They have to because the Democrats have no message anymore. The message of we're going to fight for trans rights. Lovely. It's not working. Free healthcare for migrants, which is what Chuck Schumer wants in the government shutdown. $1.5 trillion of additional spending that the government said they don't want to put in come hell or high water. They're going to do it. They purposefully have kept the government shut down, people, purposefully till tomorrow, so that you can go vote for the Democrats because you should be mad at the Republicans for keeping the government closed. This is all a scam. So when you dust off good old Barack Obama, whose only message to people isn't, hey guys, these are the policies the Democrats should promote, we're going to crap on Trump. And listen to the messages. Listen to the entirety of these speeches. Trump is lawless, reckless. Really? Did the Democrats bring no tips for waiters and waitresses? No. But what he comments about is, he's putting more money in rich people's pockets. Yes, Nvidia today is worth $5 trillion in the stock market. That's Donald Trump putting money in their pockets or making it better. Yeah, this weekend, I don't know if you heard, Stuart, but NVIDIA is opening up a brand new manufacturing facility in Arizona, not even a red state. And that's where they're going to produce new NVIDIA chips. Where's Barack Obama to give a high five to Trump? It'll never happen, of course.
Nope.
But manufacturing, trickling its way back to the United States, was what Trump campaigned. Jobs, economic prosperity. Not what the Democrats want. Follow the money, people. Put more money in rich people's pockets. That's what the Democrats have done for 12 of the last 16 years. They didn't put more money in everyday people's pockets. They took it out of your pockets. They were the opposite of Robin Hood. They took it out of the poor and gave it to the rich.
Yep.
That's what they did. All the policies. Affordable Care Act? Yeah. Nice smokescreen. Could have helped. Could be okay. Didn't do it. Who did he blame? He blamed the Republicans. When there was a shooting in a church in South Carolina and Nikki Haley begged begged Obama to do something about it. He said no. He blamed Republicans. That is Barack Obama. Now, the Obamas as a whole, Stuart, Michelle was interviewed, and she's been whining and crying about how she was treated badly as a first lady. Have you seen what they do to Melania Trump? Like, you're sitting here and I've heard is complaints.
Yeah, but David, Michelle's, I'm black, I'm being persecuted. What I don't understand is, and I'm going to throw the Jewish card out there, David. Jews have been persecuted for thousands of years. Yet when they first came to America under a century ago, they managed to become some of the most wealthiest people in America. I'm sorry. How many years has civil liberties been free? How much money did the Obamas get? What kind of education do they have? They cry, and they cry. I've had enough, David.
But Stuart, this is the thing right now, is you're bringing Barack Obama to the stage in New Jersey, in Virginia, because the Republicans are threatening. And why are the Republicans threatening in blue states? Because people are pissed. People are angry. A lot of New Yorkers, Stuart, have left New York for New Jersey. These are conservatives because they see what's going on with Mamdani. They see the crazy policies of Kathy Hochul. They see all these kinds of things, and they move into New Jersey, and all of a sudden there's a pivot. All of a sudden their vote matters, so let's bring in the big gun. Let's destroy. But it doesn't matter that they vilify in such horrifying ways the opponents. But again, it's about, don't vote for them. They're bad. Vote for me. But why?
But again, but David, we've been discussing this going back from the Bush campaign. Blame it on Bush. That's what Obama did for 4 years, and then he did it for another 4 years, and then Hillary did it again when she tried to run. I mean, listen, it's been blame the other party, not what I can do. What Trump changed the narrative by saying, "Here's what I'm going to do," and in 10 months. He's done everything he said he's going to do and continuing to go like a steam train. Where I think the left has gone bad is it forgot that you can't run on a dream. You have to run on things that people can obtain. People eventually understand that dreams are great to have, but you're going to have to buckle up, Buttercup, and put the rubber to the road, or you're not going to get anywhere. And you know what? New York, I still believe that the biggest real estate mogul creator has been Mamdani. There are more houses, more condos being sold in Florida to New Yorkers than ever before.
Okay,
and I got to tell you something. Mamdani's done great for Florida. Really has. But I feel sorry for all my friends that are anchored into New York that don't have the ability to pick up and leave. And, it's no different. It's no different than people like you, David, who are anchored in Montreal.
But here's the thing, Stuart. And I just don't go there because that's not relevant. I'll tell you what's relevant, Stuart, is that you're getting the wool pulled over your eyes, people. That you continue to believe a narrative that it hasn't changed. Look at the message since 2008, since Barack Obama ran. You talked about him kissing the ring of the Saudis. Stuart, you went the wrong direction, buddy. He kissed the ring of the Muslim Brotherhood. This is the guy who was so happy about the Egyptian, the Arab Spring in Egypt, that a terrorist organization took over power. Sound familiar?
Yep.
This is what he was applauding. He got a pass. All that the Obamas did got a pass. And while you can whine and cry and whatever, look, he built a crazy basketball court for himself. He got a pass. All the Democrats are focusing on, think about it. Donald Trump has closed the government down so he can build his own wing in a ballroom in the White House. What the hell does one have to do with the other? What the hell? Again, this is the message that the Dems have produced. This is what Barack Obama is pushing out on stage. Guys, the only reason to vote Democrat is because Trump is actually producing. That is the message he's trying to tell you. Don't vote for Trump because he's actually making your lives actually better. It's not the methods may be cockeyed. He might be using executive power and he's pushing it to the limit. And the courts will say this week about the tariffs, and we'll see what happens with that. But when you talk and you say, oh, he doesn't care about inflation. Where were you when Biden had inflation at 8 and 12%? Where were you in other? Like, it's nonstop whine.
No, I mean, David, I want to know. I want to pull up the footage next time about Obama's cages at the border. Anyways, David, we have gone to the end of our quarter hour. Any last words?
Guys, tomorrow, when you go out and vote, it's not with the heart. Use your brain, please. Don't go because of the color of the party or the animal that they're using. Who's going to make your life better in the next 4 years?
It's called, may those with frontal lobe development issues, may they develop it quickly. All right, guys, that brings it to an end. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon Eastern, David and I ranted out for a quarter hour and put all these little podcasts up. Grab a seat, settle in, give us a love, give us a like. See you next time.